So I don't know whether you know, but you can get Half-Life Deathmatch and Half-Life Lost Coast for totally free now as some kind of, I don't know, anniversary type thing. The only catch is that you've got to have an ATI or nVidia video card, which probably a lot of you do have, but some people have like built-in on-board graphics, which you won't be able to play it then. This is going to be part one of a two-part gaming video fest, which I'm going to include some of the commentaries from actual game designers in the videos. So in case you haven't noticed, everything's maxed out graphics wise. We're not recording Fraps. I'm getting probably around 75 plus frames per second, but while recording it's only about 18, which is a huge drop even for Fraps. Like, what the hell.
Hi, this is Gabe Newell, and welcome to the Lost Coast. In this tour, we're going to be talking about a new graphics technology we've been developing called High Dynamic Range, or HDR. We'll also be giving you some insight into the design and production challenges we faced during the construction of the Lost Coast. First, a quick explanation of the commentary system. To listen to a commentary node, put your crosshair over the floating commentary symbol and press your Use key. To stop the commentary, put your crosshair over the rotating node and press your Use key again. Some commentary nodes may take control of the game for the purpose of showing something to you. In these cases, simply pressing your Use key will stop the commentary.
With conventional rendering, seen here on the left, if something on the screen is 20% reflective, like the wet sand, then the maximum reflected brightness could only be 20% of the maximum brightness of your monitor. HDR's more accurate simulation of light ensures that the sun's reflection on this wet sand appears as it would in the real world, which could potentially use 100% of the maximum monitor brightness. HDR uses bloom to simulate light that is beyond 100% of a monitor's maximum brightness.
The process of building characters in Half-Life 2 taught us many things. By the end, we believed we'd figured out a more effective process for designing and constructing characters. This fisherman is the first character we built using that process. Design-wise, the fisherman was focused on showcasing HDR and the way light falls on human skin. The highlights on his forehead and nose are good examples of specularity on human skin. You can see how the wrinkles on his cheeks and around his eyes are an example of how we can use normal maps to add depth. Production-wise, the fisherman was built using a similar process to the rocks you saw on the beach. We model the 3D character at a very high detail, then extract much of the physical information and store it in the textures.
So if you have no clue what Half-Life 2 is, seriously, where have you been? Living under a rock?
You're that scientist chap,
It's like getting pretty old now. It was released back in November 2004. It's still a pretty impressive looking game, but not that demanding. Originally, Half-Life 2 was released without a multiplayer component and was instead packaged with Counter-Strike Source. A few weeks later, Valve released this, Half-Life 2 Deathmatch, and Half-Life 2 Lost Coast. Lost Coast basically showcases all of the graphics technologies used.
Here we go.
Water presents us with a lot of rendering challenges. In fact, we have to render the scene 3 times. Once for the refraction of what's under the water, once for the reflection of everything above the water, and once from the player's view. You can see the reflection and refraction scenes in the 2 small windows on screen. In the refraction, we calculate per pixel how much water you're looking through to do a volumetric underwater fog to simulate particulate matter. For our full HDR solution, we had to go through the entire engine and modify every bit of code that calculated light and color. For example, these water reflection and refraction renderings had to be improved to support the full range of contrast values.
Here, now, let me
So now we're
just
gonna
unlock
follow
this
this
gate
slow
for
ass
you.
dude. Wait for him
Got
to
the
open
key,
the
right
gate.
here. There we go. Get along
Thank
now,
God.
Daddy. Destroy that
Okay.
gun and no dawdling.
Yeah, I couldn't give a crap about you. Walk up here. Anyone around here? No. Okay, walk on. Wait. Yeah, went flying. Okay, wait. Someone else around? Oh, there. Shoot this. Ah! We're falling. Where's the other dude? I know someone else is supposed to come around there. I'll go this way. Yeah. What's in this box? Can I use that? Oh, oops.
The area you're currently entering is called the Cliffside Arena. We were particularly happy with the vertical cliffside in Half-Life 1 and regretted that we didn't iterate further on that concept in Half-Life 2. Vertical space allows us to force the player to deal with threats from above and below. We find that players focus their view on the direction they're travelling, so by using a cliffside and having the player ascend it, we ensure that the player will look up and be prepared for enemies. If the player's path was to move past the bottom of the cliffside, it would be unlikely he would notice soldiers rappelling down from above. And dying from unknown threats never feels fair and certainly isn't fun.
I knew that guy was around there. Don't know why the hell he isn't chasing me though. I have to go over here to destroy these boxes. Ah, here we go. Finally. What the hell?
Ammunition
I
depleted.
don't give a crap. Ha. Now I can go this way. Holy crap. Someone around. Ah, wait. Ah! Crap. Okay. Die! There we go. Wait, what the? Oh. These people are stupid. No. Someone's up there. Haha!
One of the features of our HDR solution is dynamic tone mapping. The easiest way to think about dynamic tone mapping is that it's a method of simulating the way the human eye reacts to light. In the real world, you've probably walked into a dark room and noticed your eye adjusting to the darkness, letting you see better after some time. Or you've walked out into a bright day and been blinded by the sun, only to have your eye adjust and allow you to see normally. Your iris is adjusting itself in response to the amount of light hitting your eye. Dynamic tone mapping simulates this by automatically adjusting the exposure of the scene to mimic the behavior of your iris. You can see this as the view moves from the dark tunnel to the bright sun and back again. Here, you can see the way we calculate the amount of light hitting the player's eyes. We take a snapshot of the scene, measure the brightness levels, and then use that to adjust exposure. We consider light at the center of the screen more important than at the edges.